About 3 months ago, I made a voice note to sober me to cover Sleep Token, you bench. So here I am, honouring past me's earnest and thoughtful, tactful request. So a few years ago, Sleep Token was just a band me and my boyfriend knew like one song of, that was Alchemy. 10 out of 10. But it was also a band that our metalhead friends kind of made an exception for, even though they were into like really heavy metal, and Sleep Token is not that heavy. So fast forward a few years later, I find my boyfriend reluctant to go to bed one night because he just had too much Sleep Token to show me. So I sat there and listened, and eventually actually realised, surprisingly, that I really liked this band. And they had so much depth and beauty in their lyrics that I just wanted to learn from. Which is how I got this idea for deep diving into songwriters. Doing this kind of like learning series, if you get me. Trying to give myself my own musical education. I heard that they used to be a cult band with a very small following, and now they've headlined downloads and they've made it to the Billboard 100. So what changed? Was it the addictive sugar of caramel, or was it just the plans of an ancient deity? Either way, I'm here to hack this beautiful craft. Okay, time for first segment, which is Earth. I'm still going to do the fun elemental things because I think it's just fun. So Earth, storytelling and lore. Water is lyrical depth. Muses is the fire. That's what motivates them. And then air is sound alchemy because it gets to our ears. But it'd be good if it was fire, must admit. Okay, time for first segment. Earth is lore and the storytelling. Even as a pop girl, Downloads is my favourite festival because the people are just so sound. Because they don't need as much celebrity gossip to keep it going. You know, they're more interested in the music. Anyway, so Sleep Token is a rock band with a mysterious edge. In the words of Vessel, art has become entangled with identity. The aim of Sleep Token is to provide people something they can relate and engage with without he's not this posh, without being obstructed by the identity of the creator. This is done through their lore, centred around an ancient deity called Sleep, who promised Vessel glory if he were to follow. Sleep came to Vessel in a dream, hence why the band's marketing and language throughout their discography have references to ancient ritual, which I find really interesting. The mythology has given rise to a whole host of fan theories, the most popular being that 3 albums create a trilogy. So it's rather than every song has a different story, the songs together can make up a big story, which my friends like to refer to as like a musical. And I thought that was an interesting way of looking at it, especially if you're not wanting to subscribe to it being like a cult thing. So in this sundowning, Sleep seduces Vessel, a beginning filled with devotion and sacrifice, with song titles like The Night Does Not Belong to God and The Offering, which is quite sexual. I was like, oofed, Vessel. Bloodsport is the key song. It's the most popular song in that album, I feel like. I made a loving you, Bloodsport, I can't win. Which could be sung from the perspective of Sleep or Vessel. They both kind of make sense in terms of this relationship. Okay, so then it goes on to This Place Will Become Your Tomb, which explores Vessel's feeling of being trapped in a relationship, potentially with Sleep, and it has themes of depression and hopelessness, with lyrics like anything to get me to sleep, and so flood me like Atlantic, wash away the blood on my hands. And it sounds exactly like the feelings of feeling trapped in a relationship with an ancient deity. And there's so many sad songs as well, like The Missing, and romantic songs like Alchemy, my favourite, when I hope my boyfriend thinks of when he thinks of me, because I'm very misaligned, because I'm clumsy and dyspraxic. Okay, then there's Take Me Back to Eden, which features the feelings of disillusionment from Vessel. It refers to Vessel pre-meeting sleep. Aqua Regia. It has lyrics in the second verse that go, my past is a holy book. Because he's like, oh man, my past was great before you. It probably is. Like if you've been haunted by a sleep demon. Oh, deity. Whatever. The latest album, Even in Arcadia, presents a different story, which analyses the perils of fame. This album has done the best, really, I think. And I think it's because it's been made more accessible with just more relatable themes. It kind of built off the momentum that was Take Me Back to Eden. We watched someone react to Caramel, and someone said in the comments, when Vessel said Take Me Back to Eden, he meant the club. Because Caramel has such a bass line. Next part. Lyrical depth. Depth. Another key aspect of Sleep Token's brilliance is the raw human emotion and vulnerability behind their lore. So Vessel, leads songwriter, pours his heart into his lyrics. Desire, heartbreak, and insecurity are all themes. And even in Arcadia, with lyrics like, I know these cards are boring, I can't always be killing the game, and the stage is prison, which I think is what has grown their larger audience potentially. As someone who's also studied Taylor Swift's writing, I also see similarities between Vessel's and hers, and the way they both like to show and not tell, and they have good imagery sometimes. Well, he has good imagery sometimes. Like in Take Me Back to Eden, he uses meat freezer and a pound of flesh to express sadness without actually having to say, oh, sad. Their language is also characterised by an advanced vocabulary and references to classical literature and science, which is also a similarity they share with Taylor Swift, where you have to look things up every time you listen to their music, but I'm not complaining. Sleep Token's lyrics sound like they're right out of a poetry book, I think. Sound alchemy is the next part. Sleep Token's genre is progressive metal mainly, but they also have pop, hip hop, R&B. As someone with sensitive ears, both emotionally and physically, I really appreciate how even their heavier songs, they strategically put the screaming in places that it's just enough to please the metal fans without scaring me away, basically. Heavier parts are well thought out. Some of the songs, like The Sundowning, starts with heavy music, but then his smooth, gentle voice just calms it down. I feel like it has a purpose. Like, every part of the music has a purpose. As opposed to, I feel like sometimes rock metal bands tend to just try and make it feel edgy, you know? They just like to be heavy just for the sake of it. I know a lot of people like that, to be fair, so I'm glad they like it. The switch up between genres is just so seamless though that it makes you wonder why they're ever separate. And the production is so good because it adds so many layers of vocals and instrumentation, and it adds to the atmosphere. It gives each song such a beautiful balance, I think. So, fourth part, fire, Muses. Sleep Token have a diverse range of influences, from the heavy to the gentle. You can hear the sounds of heavy artists in Meshuggah and Deftones in their darker parts. Side note, Meshuggah kind of scared me, but I appreciate what they did for Sleep Token. And then they've got the non-conventional and soft vocals like Bon Iver, who were also mentioned as a reference or an influence. And then there's Imogen Heap, who has inspired Sleep Token with her layered, haunting feelings conveyed in her music. They've also taken inspiration from classical literature, mythology, and the Bible, which are non-musical references. They've got Damocles in a song, obviously, Damocles. And fun fact, Damocles is a guy in Greek mythology who Dionysus wanted to switch places with, because Damocles was a consul to the king, and Dionysus wanted to see what it felt like, so he switched places and found out that in Damocles' seat they had a sword hanging above his head, so that's what they mean by the sword of Damocles. And it's like the message of how success doesn't mean everything. Nothing's perfect just because you're successful, and with great power comes great responsibility, or like people wanting to kill you, you know, as it goes. And then there's Aqua Regia, which is a liquid that dissolves into gold. That dissolves gold. So I guess I guess he's trying to say with Aqua Regia, it's his kryptonite. It's like the glass shattering with his attitude to sleep. The deity. Or, I don't know, like his relationship. They have made something new and impactful by combining a love with music with classical education. I actually feel like Sleep Token could be the bridge that actually lets rock and pop audiences agree again, which is really nice, because they've got soft parts, they've got heavy parts, and their lyrics are just good. Everyone can agree on that, I think. They have a brilliant marketing strategy and an alluring presence in the music sphere, and it helps you find peace in a world full of noise, because their music's so calm and chill and not attached to identity. I really like their educational approach to composing and writing music, incorporating all their classical references. So, hope you like this. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you want, if you like it, And tell me, what's your favourite Sleep Token song? Tell me if I taught you anything you didn't know before. And please tell me what your favourite colour is. And I'm going to cover Sleep Token soon. So stay tuned. Bye bye.